ready?
I'd like to call tonight's special budget and finance personnel and recovery plan meeting Thursday, August 15th, 2019 to order. May we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mr. Northwick?
Here.
Mr. Duffy?
Present.
Mr. Martin? Present. Mr. Lesh?
Here.
Mr. McAndrew?
Present.
Mr. Norton?
Here.
Mr. Pople?
Present.
Mr. Schuster?
Present.
Mrs. Dixon?
Present.
9 present.
Now I read the announcement. Okay. Duly published August 13, 2019. The Scranton School Board will hold a special meeting for budget and finance, personnel, and the recovery plan on Thursday, August 15, 2019 at 6:30 p.m. in the auditorium of Scranton High School.
Executive sessions were held on August 7, 2019, and this evening to discuss personnel, real estate, potential litigation, and negotiations. Mr. Audi, if I missed something.
That's correct. I can't recall anything else.
Thank you.
At this time, the board welcomes public comment. Each speaker will be allowed 3 minutes to speak. Union officials will be allowed 4 minutes. You may not pass your time to any speaker. When your time is up, we kindly ask that you finish your sentence and wrap it up. In order to maintain respect for all points of view, the board requests no clapping, booing, or other form of support or non-support to be used. The board will not tolerate derogatory remarks or personal attacks against any board member or administrator. Debate and dialogue is discouraged during public comment. First speaker this evening is Lee Morgan.
Good evening. My name is Lee Morgan. I just came here tonight to ask the board to take the city, I mean not the city, but the school board into receivership. I know that the board probably has been milling this thought through their head, and I just think that they've offered you money to lead you down the wrong road. And I mean, one of the first questions we should ask here is, who is the outside source that's going to fund pre-K? Who is that outside source? And you know, there are a host of other things that need to be asked here, because the Pennsylvania Constitution says that the Commonwealth is responsible for funding these schools. And the thing that happened to the Scranton School District is that the legislatures in Harrisburg passed laws. And when they did that, they bankrupted not just the Scranton School District, but school districts across this Commonwealth, which has led to just outrageous amounts of taxation that the average people can't pay. So what I say to this district is, hand the district back to the people who created the problem, because I don't know how this district can walk away from hundreds of millions of dollars worth of assets, i.e. the elementary schools and the administration building, and act like that's a plan. Now, Scranton went through Act 47. Scranton is bankrupt, and it's getting ready to come out. It's shed all of its assets, and we're out of money. We're just finished. And you've got to realize where this school district is. The kids have no up-to-date textbooks, in my opinion, like they should. They don't have the teaching aids they need. Cyber school is just eating the public school system alive. Okay, and what they're saying is, well, we're going to give you money, but the minute you don't do what we tell you to do, we're going to pull it all back. Well, hell, this district is finished. Who is going to move their children into this city when you don't have elementary schools? Who? Nobody's going to invest in this city. People are trying to get out of here. So, I mean, the only logical thing that makes any sense at all is legislature, here, you created this problem, you take it back. And when you solve it, When the legislature comes here and appoints a receiver and they raise these taxes like you're gonna do, not just your first tax increase, because none of them are gonna be what you've stated in the newspaper. They're all gonna be much more than that. And then the state's gonna say, well, you voted for this, because they're leading you down the wrong road. And you have to have enough common sense to know that. I remember when Mr. Cross, the coordinator for the PDL, called me on a Sunday and laughed because the city could have filed bankruptcy in 2012. But of course the state didn't want that. And you see where we are. So you know what it is? It's time to do something for the children in this district. And it's time to make Mr. Blake and Mr. Flynn and all the legislators in Harrisburg for the 501 school districts in the Commonwealth to come forward and fund them, because it's the state's obligation. And it's time for you to have a backbone and stand up and do what needs to be done.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan. Bob Navarosky? I'm not sure if I pronounced it correctly.
You did. One of the few who do. Good evening. I'm Bob Navarosky. I live at 304 Prescott Ave. I'm paying $6,600 a year in property tax. $3,500 or so goes to the school district. I congratulate Rosemary Bolden on the fine job she does as a taxpayer for her constituents, something which past and present boards have never done for the taxpayer in the city of Scranton. This recovery plan, Homer Simpson could have wrote a better plan than what comes down the turnpike here. I implore you, ladies and gentlemen, turn this down, let the state come in, clean house, put the school district back in order, which it is not now, and that's what I would like to see happen. I implore you, turn this recovery plan down. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Navarosky. Marie Schumacher?
Yes, I'm here to say that I agree with what Lee Morgan said. I went online at the Department of Education website, and I found that receivership will last only three years. I think we need fresh blood for those 3 years. I think it will help. And also that no matter what is happening, the absolute thing that you're going to vote on tonight is going to be law, essentially. It's just whether or not you folks get to administer or whether or not the state gets to administer. And the state, I've heard rumors saying, oh, the taxes are going to go up, the taxes are going to go up. But the state cannot dictate that. That is one thing that will come back to the Board of Education for a vote under the receivership. So I think everything I see is all good, and I think it's time to vote no, and even though it will be implemented, it will just be implemented by the state rather than by this board, and I think that will be refreshing. Thank you.
Thank you. Joan Odowanitz? Did I say it right?
You got it right.
Thank you.
I too am in favor of receivership, and I won't repeat what's been said before. What bothers me more than anything else is all of the discussions and all the arguments and all the energy. It seems to have been focused on making the budget balance. And yes, that's important, and I understand that. I'm 69 years old here. I went K through 12 in the Scranton School District, graduated Central in 1967, 52 years ago. And I had a very good education. I was prepared to go to college, and I succeeded. But I also remember this city and its school district has a long legacy of nepotism, cronyism, and corruption. One of the reasons I think we need the receivership vice keeping the current system is we've got more problem children than just Mr. Sansky and Mr. Sunday. We need to clean house. You want the people of Scranton to have faith and confidence in the integrity of its school system. You do have excellent teachers who do very well and are good to the children. But when I see year after year that the Scranton School District comes in dead last academically, something is wrong, and there's not been enough talk about academic performance instead of just making the numbers balance. And until you get rid of those few rotten apples you still have, and you still have them, you're gonna end up in the same position 5, 10, 15 years down the road. Let someone who has no ties to this area come in and make some objective, non-political decisions. I don't believe the receiver will come in and fire all the teachers. That's ridiculous. I want to see the children get the education they deserve. And in my 69 years, I am fed up with paying taxes to support a corrupt system. Thank you.
Thank you. Doug Miller.
Good evening, everybody. I'm just here again, once again, to express my opposition to what I think is a complete failure. I don't call it a plan, I call it a suicide mission. The taxpayers in this community can't take anymore. I mean, you've heard a few people tonight make arguments, but it's the seniors and the children particularly that stand out to me. They've suffered long enough. You know, we take a look at what's gone on in the city for the last 30 plus years, been under Act 47 since '92. It hasn't led us anywhere. It's just been a path to destruction. You know, Lee talked about with Gerald Cross, and I've had discussions with him in the past. All they did was come in and sell every asset we possessed. I mean, we're down to nothing now. The only thing left to sell is City Hall, which they're discussing now, and that's totally absurd. And that's all this is going to do. You're going to sell elementary schools. You're going to get rid of an administration building. That's part of the city's history. And you just, what do? You put the screws of the people yet again. They can't take anymore. But I do also think at the same time, it's time that the residents of this city actually take a good long look in the mirror, because they're partially responsible for this as well. And they may not like to hear that, but sometimes you got to hear the truth. They're the ones that went out election after election and voted all you people in, whether it's people on this board or previous school boards, who've elected one incompetent hack after another. So they have to take responsibility for it too. They never show up, they never get involved, but yet they'll come together whining and crying when it's too late. But where have you been for the last 30 plus years? To protect your own interest, to protect the interest of not only this school district, but the 70,000 people that live in this city. I mean, just look at the poverty everywhere. Take a look at the amount of children on free or reduced lunch in this district. It's pathetic, absolutely pathetic, because the people in this city have been overtaxed for decades. And that's all this plan offers. It's more of the same. Either way, honestly, let's be realistic. No matter what happens tonight, whether you pass this plan or you go into receivership, it's pain and suffering either way you look at it. The people, once again, are going to suffer because you've elected incompetent people. And that's what happens. Instead of electing people that have come forward, you know, you listen to Marie Schumacher, Joan Hodowanitz, Lee Morgan, people who've been involved for a long time, that have common sense, that are smart. But the voters in this town vote for people because they put their nice little good-looking suits on, or they have a pretty yard sign. Ridiculous. It's time to clean house, elect competent people, make the cuts that are necessary. That's what has to happen. Make cuts. Cut the budget. We talked about cutting the city's budget. The school district needs to do the same thing. Put the people first for a change. And I ask you to vote against this plan and put people first. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Carol Clary.
Thank you. I came today to listen to Dr. Finan and the plan, the recovery plan that she has in place. And I hear what everyone is saying, and I understand how frustrated and how angry and how overtaxed and how overburdened they feel. But we have to think about the children. I don't think going into receivership is the answer. When the state comes in and they don't have the heart and they don't care about our community, they're going to make some very awful decisions. It's happened in other school districts where they've come in and it's been awful. It's been horrible. We will lose all control, but I have to say, I support Dr. Finan. We have a plan. Is it a perfect plan? No. Does it mean we have to increase taxes? Yeah, it's horrible. It's not a good thing that we have to do it, but what are our options? We can't just say, oh, well, we can only afford to take care of 7,000 kids, so the other 3,000 we're not going to educate. We have to educate them all, and it's hard. We have low-income students, we have a lot of IEP students, and it costs a lot of money for these programs. As I shared today, I work in a district, I live here, but I work in a district down in Monroe County. We went through 6 years of no pay raises. We went through cuts in programs. We went through 30, 32, 34 kids in a class. Was it pretty? No. Did I have 8th graders that were sitting in 2 study halls a day because they cut programs? Yes. It was awful. I will admit it was awful. But you know what? We've turned it around. We turned it around. You know, there's a contract now. Teachers have gotten raises. Programs have returned. But if we give it to the state, then we've just given up. And we can't give up. However, I have one thing to say. You have to do what Dr. Finan has asked us to do. You have to make those hard decisions. You have to support her. Because as some of them have said, we can't continue with the cronyism. We can't continue with the political crap that goes on in this city and in this county. It's not just the city, it's not just the school district, it's in this entire county. But you have to support what she has suggested, and you have to stick by her. And that's what's important, because at the end, hopefully, we'll have a solution and we'll be, we'll have money again and we'll be in a good spot for our community and for our students. We can't give up. We can't give up. We have to support you and we have to use our hearts because we can't give up. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Jay Walsh.
My name's Jay Walsh. I'm a City of Scranton resident for probably 50 years. I don't have 3 minutes, but I'd like to give you a handout for you to read that pertains to everything. And I'd like to ask you to withhold your vote until next week, because I think you're going to be quite surprised, as Missy Rose was. I write the way I write because my good buddy, Judge John Braxton, said life doesn't occur in a vacuum. So you're going to see me go through different issues at different days, okay? So you take a look at it, but I think you've been hoodwinked by DePasquale, because we need to audit the state, okay? We have $70 trillion, okay? But the politicians won't tell you that. And a good friend of mine, the guy who did the Bernie Madoff forensic accounting, basically agrees with my premise, okay? So I think once you look at that, you'll have a good feel for where we're at. And I've also asked the Department of Justice to come in and go after DePasquale, or obstruction of justice, conspiracy, and omission. I'm very good. I've been studying law since I'm 11 years old. My father was a law enforcement guy, and I had law books in my house my whole life. I read them, but I didn't become a lawyer because they work for the British Accredited Registry. They work for the British monarchy. They don't know this, but that's what they do. Okay? So, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Rosemary Boland?
Good evening, directors. Thank you for holding this meeting tonight. I've listened to our great citizens of Scranton talk this evening. I know most of these people for a long time, and I'm going to respectfully disagree with them. I am going to ask you to please pass the recovery plan because it gives us an opportunity to move this district forward, and that's what we desperately need. We need a chance to improve. That's what we need. We can fix problems. We are all of us capable of problem solving. That's what I do for a living. And I think I've taught my students that when there's a problem, sit down, look at it, and let's figure it out and solve it. So this is our chance to solve a problem that we have in our district. I don't think we need to go into the past right now to figure out, well, who did this and who did this and who did that and who didn't. We can't keep dwelling on that. The mistakes have been made. It's time to correct it and move forward. And I'm asking you, for my members and their families, to please pass the plan. And I say that as a citizen of the city of Scranton and a taxpayer my whole life. So I'm asking for you to give our district, our teachers, our paras, all of our workers an opportunity to move forward. And we can't do that without you taking a very bold action today and passing that recovery plan. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Boland. Suzanne Fiore?
Good evening, school board members, Attorney Audi, Dr. Finan. I am a first grade teacher at Neil Armstrong Elementary. I know something has to be done to propel us forward. I am deeply concerned about the closing of our neighborhood schools, and I think because of our poverty level and so many of our families who don't have vehicles, I have a concern about closing. I know something has to be done, and it's going to hurt everyone. That's a concern I have that I just want. I don't offer a solution because I'm not sure what the solution is to that, but that's a concern of mine. Secondly, I know you are aware of the issues in our building. We have all kinds of issues going on, and we have been directed not to even return to our building as teachers until Monday, which is the 19th, and which is less than a week before our students arrive. I did go into our building today, and to be quite honest, it does not look like it's going to be ready for us to be in there on Monday. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with preparing an elementary classroom for a day of school, it takes hours. For me, it takes days. And right now, in my classroom at all. Everything is stored, put away, moved out, and I'm very concerned about my ability to have my classroom ready. And it's not only me, it's our whole school. So going forward, I'm looking forward. I don't want to look back either, but what I am asking is for you to communicate with us. We have not really been told, except for one communication, we have never really been told anything about our building. And I'm asking in the future, would you please keep us informed about issues that relate to our building, issues that relate to our families, our students, and our ability to be the best teachers we can be. Because we are, I know I feel like I'm starting behind because I have not a stitch of anything ready in my classroom. That causes me a lot of stress, to be quite honest. And I'm hoping that in the future, please keep those lines of communication open, because we're all here for the same reasons. We are all here to do the best we can for our students, whether you're in the classroom or not. And I'm hoping that going forward, we're going to turn that page and do that job together. I hope that's what happens. Thank you.
Thank you. Catherine Fox?
Okay, so the fact that my heart is racing, I'm going to say that shows how committed I am to the school board, the district, and the city. It is disheartening as a hopefully incoming board member, should be December if nothing goes awry, to hear a room full of people who are against this recovery plan and only against. And I understand why. I understand that we're in a tough time right now, but I hope that minds can change and we can see that we're really at a very positive time. Me, as well as the other future board members who are here with me, stepped up for reasons that are good. We stepped up because we believe in the city, we believe in our fellow board members, we believe in the children, we believe in everybody here, and we need everybody else to believe in us also. We understand that there's been corruption, we understand that there's been hard times and there will be hard times in the future. There's a huge difference when people decide to come together and work together instead of fighting each other all of the time. Scranton has so much to offer to everyone, the children, the taxpayers, the employees, and we need to realize that and come together and work together. You all came here to voice your opinions, to go into receivership. I hope you all understand if we go into receivership, you will no longer have this option. You will not have a board you can talk to, you can voice your opinions to. You won't have that. You will just have a receiver, one person you can lobby and give your issues to. And are they going to listen to you when they're acting as a CEO for a business? Who are you going to go to when student classrooms are put up by 7 children or more? When school days are extended? When the school year is extended? When schools are closed and they're not going to care, they're not going to sit down and talk to you and say, tell me, which school should I close? If we have to, where should we go? They're just going to look at numbers and get rid of it. They're just going to get rid of preschool. They're not going to have heart in it like Dr. Finan has, like this school board has. You cannot put everything on the board that is sitting in front of you because they are not responsible for where we're at right now alone. Nobody is. We're here to work together, and I hope you understand that and understand that if you believe in the children in the city and want what's best for them, anybody who's for receivership is not for the children. My daughter is in first grade here, my brother and my sister in the district here, I went through the district here, my heart is here, and for every person who is for receivership is not for the student. We as a board will do everything we possibly can to lift the burden on taxpayers. This plan is not saying we're definitely raising taxes for 5 years. It's saying it's a possibility. The plan can be amended. We're all gonna work together. We're gonna fight for fair funding. We're gonna continue the fight. All of us have agreed to, we've promised to. We all promised this board right now that we will continue the fight that you're doing. So please understand that if we go into receivership, we will not be able to continue that fight that you started for us. So please consider that with your vote tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Rohum?
Hi, I echo everything Catherine said. We are here. How we got here doesn't matter. How we get out of it is the important thing. Taxes are going to go up, and I don't like it. I would much rather have my money in my pocket. But we have a choice between voting for the plan and having control locally of what's going to happen, or handing it over to the state receiver, who is not really going to have any investment in the city, in our children, in anything other than getting us as a problem solved as quickly and probably as brutally as they can. If you vote no, we have no control. If you vote yes, then we will be able to amend the plan, work with the plan, and work on things. Fair funding is a huge issue. I agree with that. I thought the meeting on Monday night and the fight that's going on is important, but we're a bit late to the party. This has been going on for quite a while. We've only just sort of, oh, there's a big light come on, where we're getting fair funding. Maybe it would have solved our issues, but that's not what we're dealing with at the moment. We're working on what we have, and I think that's what we have to, the reality we have to face. Now, it doesn't mean we're not doing anything. Kyle Mullins is organising a coalition of the state representatives from the districts who have underfunded school districts. My friends, my real friends, Sarah, Tara, and Catherine and I have been working on drawing together the information of all the school boards that represent underfunded districts, and we are working on getting contact details for the board presidents of all of those, and then we would like to come to the board and say, write to your fellow presidents, write to your fellow board members, and let's get a coalition of school boards together as well. And that's a positive action, and it's a good fight. The court case is another game. I personally think that it will be moot because the other case will be decided next year, and whatever we do will cost us money and do it. And we can fight on other fronts. But what I would say is that any board member who's considering voting against the plan because of the fair funding issue, because they feel we've been hardly done by and we don't like it, a little bit like going up to the ref and saying, you called my tennis ball out, when actually the game we're playing is football. That's not part of our fight. Fair funding is separate to the recovery plan, and that's what we should be voting on, not whether we don't like the referee's decision, not that we don't like the way the rules were set up. We have to deal with what's in front of us. The way I look at it is we're on the Titanic. There's the iceberg. This plan steers us past the iceberg. Is it the best plan? Maybe not. Maybe it can be changed and will be changed. But it's the only plan we've got. No one's come up with a different one. And we cannot sit here and watch while we head full steam to the iceberg without giving ourselves a chance of avoiding it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ro. Jerry Healy.
Good evening. I haven't heard a word from anybody here, so I want to ask questions. Do you answer questions? Because what I want to ask first is, you know what the local service tax is? Do any of you know what it is? I mean, yes? Nod your head, yes or no?
Sir, the rules require that you make comments, and we state.
Well, it gets to the point of finances.
I'm just telling you what the rules are. They were stated that you're allowed to make comments, but questions will not.
Oh, no question. Okay, well, here's the point I'm trying to establish. It's the fact that, like, local service tax is what people pay when they come to work in the city of Scranton. Every person here that works in the city of Scranton pays local service tax. People that live in Moscow, North Pocono, they come to Scranton, they pay it. If you work out of Scranton, they charge you $1 or $2 a week on your tax for local service. You know, plow the streets, remove the garbage, you know, like fire engines, your car burns up, cops come. That's local services. Now, we're charged that, local service tax. I was charged that. I was supposed to be exempt from that tax because I didn't make enough money. Now, I was entitled to a refund. I went to the tax office. They said, well, I paid $66. They go, well, $5 goes to the city, the Scranton School District. I said, for what? For the local service tax. I'm thinking, well, what local service does the city, I pay city school taxes. Why is my local service tax diverted to, the city of Scranton School District? Like, what do they do? They're not shoveling sidewalks. They're not, why is so I said, well, where's my $5? You owe me $5. I paid $66, I'm exempt. We were 61. You have to get it from the school district. For a year now, I said, why don't I get my money? They said, well, your kids went to Scranton schools, that's your local service we provided to you, okay? We got your $5. I want my $5. Now, multiply my $5 times 40,000 people that work in Scranton. For the last 10 years, you're talking $2 million that disappeared, that was allocated for this, that went to you, nobody's gonna answer the question. That's my answer, like, gave my $5 back, and like explain to people what local service the school district provides to people that work in Scranton that don't live here, or that do live here. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Healy. Joseph Albert.
My name is Colonel Joseph Albert. I'm from the government. I'm here to help you. Oh no, I'm sorry. I was here to close the door, but the horse is gone. When you vote tonight, you want to do something for the community. 40 years of disgrace that you represent, you've inherited. Resign. If you were in my unit, it wouldn't be Article 15. be in Article 32.
Sarah Cruz.
Good evening, Sarah Cruz, city resident and future school board member. So tonight, I have heard a lot of negativity, frustration, fury, not just tonight, but also this morning, last night, and at the dozens of school board meetings and work sessions I have attended since the fall. And all of those negative feelings are justified because of the past decisions and indecisions made by current and past school board members, as well as our legislators in Harrisburg. But I ask you to think about our present situation with the lack of funding, with the buildings that are in need of multiple repairs, of the students that are in need of different services that they may not be getting to the best of their, that the school district is able to provide to the best of the ability. And I ask you to vote for the future. I'm gonna look at each of you in the eye, to vote for the future of this district and to give city residents something to think about positively, and to give them hope. Because right now, there's a lot of people in this room, there's a lot of people in the city who weren't able to make sense tonight, who are very bitter, who are very jaded. And something needs to be done so that hope is born in their heart, that they're able to confidently live in the city, that they're able to confidently work in the city, that they're able to confidently educate their children in the city and within this district. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Tom Kern.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tom Kern. I've been a resident of Scranton for 35 years. My wife and I built a new house in 1989 in a development called Fawnwood Heights. I am also one of those residents, probably paying one of the higher property taxes in the city. Taxes are over $6,000. I don't envy the decision that you guys have to make tonight, and I particularly don't like either option. As mentioned earlier, if it goes to a state receivership, basically all the residents within the city lose control. But it's to the point now that we're about to kill the goose that lays the golden egg, and that's the taxpayers. I think something needs to be done to rethink the first year amount. I believe it's 6.7%. That's extreme. Although I have elderly in-laws who are both in their 90s and live in their house, and they're having a hard time paying their real estate tax. What everybody, the 500-pound gorilla in the room that everybody seems to forget about is that people like myself who are working and living in the city, 3.4% income tax. Everybody's paying it. Everybody. Yeah. And that's a burden. You move outside the city. Yeah, there's some pretty good goods and services within the city, yes. But you go outside the city and most places are paying 1%. So we're getting taxed pretty heavy. So I know it's the 23rd hour now, and you're probably going to say you can't do anything. It's stuck at 6.7%, and I'm late. I haven't come and voiced my opinion at any of the meetings before. Shame on me. I work at Sandvik and Clark Summit. I'm in sales. I've been there 33 years and in various positions, and I travel a lot. But I'm going to start getting involved more, and please consider the people that are working that are paying that 3.4% income tax, and you are as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kern. Pass this down to Virginia, please. And now we go right into the resolutions, Mr. Rowdy.
Yes.
And the first one would be Mr. Popel with B1.
Yes.
Budget and Finance Committee presents the following resolution for your consideration. Whereas the Scranton School District is the true and legal owner of the Lincoln Jackson School Annex 14, PIN number 14517-060-048, and the Samuel Morris vacant lot, PIN number 14506020016, and whereas the aforementioned properties are unused and unnecessary lands and buildings, and whereas the school district of the city of Scranton intends to sell the aforementioned properties by way of sealed bid, and whereas the school district of the city of Scranton will publicize the sale of the aforementioned properties commencing with the week of August 18, 2019 for the period of 3 successive weeks, and whereas the school district of the city of Scranton will offer Lincoln Jackson School Annex number 14, PIN number 14517-060-048 for the sale by the way of sealed bid on the date of September 16th, 2019, and whereas the school district of the city of Scranton will offer the Lincoln Jackson School Annex number 14, PIN number 14517-060-046 for sale at a price of $25,000, and whereas the school district of the city of Scranton will offer the Samuel Morris vacant lot, PIN number 14506020016 for the sale price of $50,000, and whereas the Lincoln Jackson School Annex number 14, PIN number 14517060048, and the Samuel Morris vacant lot, PIN number 14506020016, will both be sold as is condition and with no warranties either express or implied, and whereas the school district of the city of Scranton makes no representation as to the size of the property, marketability, or the title, general conditions of any of the other matters affecting the Lincoln Jackson School Annex number 14, PIN number 14517-060-048, or the Samuel Morris vacant lot, PIN number 14506020016, and whereas the formal purchase contracts must be executed within 45 days following the selection of the purchase for the Lincoln Jackson School Annex number 14, PIN number 14517-060-048, or the Samuel Morris vacant lot, PIN number 14506020016, and whereas the terms of the purchase contracts shall provide the school district of the city of Scranton shall receive a hand payment of no less than 10% of the balance, and whereas the school district of the city of Scranton will comply with all of its obligations pursuant to section 7-707 of the Public School Code, therefore be it resolved that the school district of the city of Scranton does hereby approve the Lincoln Jackson Annex 14, PIN number 14517-060-048, and the Samuel Morris vacant lot, PIN number 14506020016 for advertising and sale by way of sealed bid pursuant to section 7-707 of the Public School Code. Respectfully submitted.
Second. On the question? Roll call?
Oh, sorry.
Go
I
ahead.
didn't move fast enough, I apologize. On the question, I understand the sale of the buildings is as is. Does this include the contents of the building? And if so, I understand the appraiser would have looked at that, but has anyone represented, and I realize the appraiser represents the district, but anyone with knowledge of something that could be of value, assess that? Somebody from our maintenance staff, buildings and grounds, it seems like things are turning up in unexpected places, and I just want to make sure.
My best answer is that the appraiser did in fact consider the contents of the building. But that doesn't mean that we cannot go in and see what's available and before we put up.
So there's an option to double check?
There's that option, to double check.
Very good,
yes.
thank you.
Roll call?
Mr. Borthwick?
Yes.
Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Ms. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Lesh?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Norton?
Yes.
Mr. Pople?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
9 affirmative.
Before we move forward, Attorney Audi, Attorney Audi, am I going now to F1? Because we have a B at the beginning and a B at the end. Do we go to F1 next?
I would follow the agenda and go to F1.
Thank you. That would be Director Borthwick.
To the members of the Board of School Directors of the City of Scranton, it's the recommendation of the Superintendent and the Personnel Committee that the attached list of appointments, assignments, resignations, leaves, and absences is approved. Appointments are effective upon receipt of proper criminal records, immigration, and medical and child abuse reports. Salaries are in accordance with the collective bargaining agreements. Respectfully submitted.
On the question? Roll call?
Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Ms. Gilmartin?
Yes.
Mr. Lush?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Norton?
Yes.
Mr. Pople?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mr. Borthwick?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
9 affirmative.
To the members of the Board of School Directors of the City of Scranton, be it resolved, the Personnel Committee hereby recommends the acceptance of the resignation of Superintendent Alexis Kurian effective August 15, 2019, in accordance with the terms of the attached agreement and release. Respectfully submitted. Second.
On the question? Roll call?
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Norton?
Yes.
Mr. Pople?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mr. Borthwick?
Yes.
Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Ms. Gilmartin?
Yes.
I'm sorry?
Yes.
Yeah. Mr. Lush?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
9 affirmative.
May I just say something before we move forward? I'd like to take this opportunity at this time to thank Dr. Kurian for all her contributions and service to Scranton School District, and we wish her well in her future endeavors. F3?
Okay, this reads a little differently than the rest of them, but whereas pursuant to Section 10-1079, Title 24 of the Pennsylvania School Code, a school district may properly elect a qualified person as an acting assistant superintendent by means of a majority vote. And whereas the Board of Directors of the School District of the City of Scranton in appointing an acting assistant superintendent of schools has deliberated upon the same and have by consensus come to a time at which an election to decide whether to appoint an acting assistant superintendent of schools of the City of Scranton should take place. All members of the board have been duly notified of said election. The same may now properly occur. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the School District of the City of Scranton does hereby nominate for election Melissa McTiernan, effective August 15, 2019. Be it further resolved that said Melissa McTiernan is hereby approved for election and is so elected as acting assistant superintendent of schools of the school district. Be it finally resolved that the acting assistant superintendent of schools designate Melissa McTiernan upon the expiration of her term of election return to a professional tenure position equal in status to her current position as of August 29, 2019. Virginia Orr, Secretary, is hereby directed to immediately notify the Pennsylvania Department of Education, School Services Unit, and Harrisburg, Pennsylvania of this appointment. Respectfully submitted. Second.
On the question? Roll call?
Mr. Lush?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Norton?
Yes.
Mr. Pople?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mr. Borthwick?
Yes.
Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Ms. Gilmartin?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
9 affirmative.
Congratulations. Back to Director Pople.
To the members of the Board of the School Directors of the City of Scranton, whereas on Friday, February 1st, 2019, the School District of the City of Scranton was placed in financial recovery status as defined in Section 621-A of the Public School Code of 1949 and Section 18.5 of the Pennsylvania School Code, 24 PS 6-621A 22 PA of the code, and 18.5 is subject to provisions of Article 6A that applies to moderate financial recovery school district as defined in Section 651 A 24 PS 6651A, and whereas on February 4, 2019, the school directors of the City of Scranton of the City of Scranton passed unanimously resolution to accept the Declaration of Recovery status, and whereas on February 5th, 2019, Dr. Candace Finan was appointed to serve as the Chief Recovery Officer for the School District of the City of Scranton and assigned the responsibility to oversee the implementation and administration of a financial recovery plan in coordination with the Department of Education. And whereas on July 25th, 2019, Dr. Finan, Chief Recovery Officer, presented a recovery plan for the school district of the City of Scranton under the provisions of Section 663-A, Act 141 of 2012. And whereas Act 141 of 2012 states that the Board of School Directors of the school district of the City of Scranton, within 30 days of being presented with the plan, shall approve or disapprove the plan by majority vote at a public meeting of the Board of School Directors. Therefore, be it resolved, the Board of School Directors of the City of Scranton hereby approve the Scranton School District Recovery Plan. Respectfully submitted.
Second.
On the question?
On the question.
We all.
I'm sorry. I would just like to reiterate that taxes do not increase with this vote. Am I correct? That does not happen tonight.
That is correct.
That is a choice that is made annually when the budget is passed.
That's correct.
And work will continue to keep that increase as low as possible. Correct. Thank you.
And that budget's not passed until December.
Correct.
And since I'm a broken record, may I ask you to once again reiterate what it is that happens if this plan is denied this evening with your work here, Dr. Finan?
If this plan is not approved this evening, I would bid you all goodwill, and I would be leaving the district. I am an asset here, placed here from the Department of Education to assist the school district. I am from the state, and I have been placed here to assist in the financial recovery as well as academic improvement of the school district. If this plan is not passed this evening, then my work will be done here. And that will be, you will be in the hands of where you are now.
And the other analysts and the team that has been working with you will also.
We currently have analysts working in the district at this point, working in the area of transportation. We also have analysts that will be helping with our facilities. As the young lady mentioned, Armstrong, we do have some issues in Armstrong that we have access to engineers and architects who are coming to help us determine the root cause of some of the issues there. They will not be at our disposal because they come, we come as a package from the state, and the state has been expending resources and money here in the district for actually the last 2.5 years. And so that's what would happen this evening.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I also have something to say, very quickly, to continue the broken record. I don't think there's ever a bad time to start advocating for fair funding. I've been working on this for the past few years. I think it's one of the things that I've worked as hard as, if not harder than anyone in this room, to try to accomplish. I think we've been successful in many areas. I'd like to thank everyone for their comments tonight, both for and against. It seems to me that there's a lot of agreement in how we got here, and there's a lot of agreement in the ways to make it better. There's just disagreement in the decision. And the thing that I like the most about the recovery plan is the fact that it's not final and it can be changed. I want to mention Ms. Fox in particular. I think she said something tonight that I very much believe in and struck a chord with me. I think tonight there can be a silver lining in all of the things that are happening, although it's a very gloomy day and a very, very difficult decision. I have children also that go to the school district. I believe, although many have had children that are in the district, the entire time I've been here, I've been the only one that currently has kids in the district that are going to directly be affected by what's going on tonight. I spent most of the day today going through the 19 and 20 fair funding disbursements, and I think we've even gotten worse. The things that have happened over the past few weeks and the measures that a lot of people are beginning to take are going to be what sends us over the edge. I know that Dr. Finan can't specifically advocate for fair funding, but I know that she realizes how drastically inadequate we are. And I think she could be one of the key proponents in making this district better. I'll be voting for this tonight because I think it's the right thing to do. And I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight, and hopefully everyone could push forward the fair funding fight, and we can take this to Harrisburg where we can really make a difference and we can give the next board the chance to continue to lead here locally.
Thank you, Director Duffy. Roll call?
Well, I have something to say also.
Oh, go ahead.
Of course, you know, we started under watch, all right? We were under watch for a reason. Now we're under recovery for a reason. And the next step is receivership, which I don't believe anybody wants. This is one of the hardest decisions I've ever made was to vote tonight, because I listen to everyone. I'm a taxpayer, stakeholder, but the best part about this plan is, well, first of all, we don't have another plan. This is the only plan we have. So if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And the best part of the plan, what I like is, okay, it's amendable. That needs to be stressed. And also, it's not written in stone that we're going to raise the taxes to 6.7%. I mean, we were given the opportunity. That hasn't been approved yet from the state that we're allowed to do that. That needs to be known. That hasn't been granted to us. So I'll be voting yes because it is amendable. It'll be a work in progress, and I believe that, you know, it's the road to solvency. Thank you.
Well, I might as well join in since everybody else is commenting. It's a very difficult decision, and again, I'd like to echo my colleagues here and thanking everybody for giving us your thoughts. It is a very difficult decision, and it's like a pendulum on one side, the plan, receivership. And I used 3 prongs to measure my decision. I will be voting for the plan tonight as well. The first was kids. I was an educator for 30 years, and kids have to come first. And I truly believe the kids have a better chance of keeping their programs, keeping their teachers, if we go through the recovery plan and try to make this right, as opposed to receivership, where classes will be cut, class sizes will increase, and will be cut to the bare minimum. Teachers, we're going to have a mass exodus as it is with all the rockiness that we have going on in this district. We have great teachers in this district, and I think it's only fair to give these kids these great teachers as opposed to the state coming in and trimming everything down. And I think the plan addresses all of that. And taxes, as everybody said, it's not set in stone what the percentage is going to be, and I think I can speak for all of us here that we will be working very hard till December to minimize whatever that hit is going to be with taxes versus the receivership coming in and making that decision. So that's my speech. Anybody else?
Yes. I will be voting against the plan, and the reason I'm voting against the plan is I think the entire process is skewed. We are in receivership because of the state of Pennsylvania. The state of Pennsylvania has historically and drastically underfunded urban school districts, but none as drastically as the City of Scranton School District. We provide more more local effort into our budgets than any other urban school district. We're at 41%. 41% of our budget comes from the citizens out here who pay taxes. Every year we seem to be raising taxes because we can't keep up with the growth. And the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania has sat back and hurt us financially for a long, long period of time. And now they put us in a recovery plan. And because of the state of Pennsylvania, the recovery plan wants us to tax the city of Scranton, the residents of the city of Scranton, at a higher rate. And I can't put up with that. I can't put up with that. I cannot put up with penalizing the taxpayers of the city of Scranton, who for years and years and years have been overtaxed because of a lack of state funding. And now the state wants us to do more of that. I'm voting against it. Thank you very much.
So I'm gonna say the one thing that I like about the plan is it does get us to solvency within 5 years. And I think after this board starts to make some of these positive actions that get us into a better place, I think the one thing, and it's the one thing I dislike about the plan, is that it doesn't take into account the tax base. So with that 41% tax effort that we're putting forth, I would like to say one of the first things I would urge the board and Dr. Finer to look into is if we could address the growth of the tax base and look into amending that portion first, because it's something that definitely needs to be done. Thank you.
Roll call.
I was just going to say one more thing. I think we should take this opportunity to acknowledge the hard work of the Recovery Committee. I see Mr. Mahan back there, Mrs. Dixon, Mr. Popel, Ms. Boland. If there's anyone I'm missing in here.
Mr. Inez was here earlier.
Oh, was he?
I don't know if he's
Was he? I didn't see him, but I applaud Dr. Finan in the beautiful way she led those meetings. It was always an open discussion. A great deal of information was shared, and many people dedicated several nights over the past few months, and I'm sure did their homework and prepared to have a good conversation there as well. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Roll call.
Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Lush?
No.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Norton?
Yes.
Mr. Popel?
No.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mr. Borthwick?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
7 affirmative, 2 negative, motion passes.
May I have a motion to adjourn?
May I say something, Madam
Yes.
President? I'd just like to thank this board for all of your time and cooperation, and I will guarantee you that we will work hard and we will continue to support the residents and look at every penny that is spent in this district to try to not raise taxes as high as we have to, only to accommodate what we need in this district. We will do that, and that work will begin tomorrow on the next budget that has to be passed in December. But what I will tell you is I will be transparent and walk you through this plan and update you every time we meet with where we are in the plan. I think that's only fair to the residents and to the board at this point. So thank you very much for your support, and I thank everyone who came to all of those meetings. We had fun. I appreciate the time and the effort, and I will just assure the parents here, we're going to do the absolute best we can for your children and for this community. They are the ones that count in this plan, and you have my word. I will give it every ounce of energy that I have to make it the best possible place for children and for our educational programs. So thank you very much for your support. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Dr. Finer. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Mrs. Dixon, I'm sorry. We need to swear Mrs. McTiernan.
You have to swear her in? No. So we'll congratulate Mrs. McTiernan.